Hi, this is Jessica DaMassa with WTF Health. I am here at ICEE.health in beautiful Bucharest, Romania. And joining me now, I have Bart Heijs. He is with a company called Oncomfort, and they do augmented reality, virtual reality in the space of helping patients manage anxiety. Is that right?
That's right.
So talk to me a little bit about what you do.
So we have developed a virtual reality setting. In fact, we have developed a digital therapy using clinical hypnosis in a virtual reality setting in order to help patients manage their anxiety and thus also their pain.
And I saw your presentation, which was amazing, and you had a lot of clinical outcomes. So talk really quickly about some of the outcomes that you've seen from patients that are using your system.
Well, the first outcome, it's a wow outcome for the patients, so that's already a very important one. And then obviously we reduce anxiety, we reduce pain, and this also has an effect on flow in the OR, for instance, in how processes are managed within the hospital, on the doctor's work. They can focus more on the specific intervention they are planning, etc., etc. So it goes way beyond the anxiety of the patient. It goes way beyond just the patient. It has an impact on the full ecosystem, in fact.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about that, because I'm curious on the system impact of this technology. So in improving the patient flow, how does this help do that?
Well, for instance, we are all talking about value-based healthcare, meaning that we pay for a specific outcome. You can imagine that anxious patients, that a treatment, an intervention might take a little bit longer because the doctor has to manage his patient, has to manage the stress with the patient, etc., etc. There might also be some complications related to it because the patient needed maybe some drugs before treatment. If we can skip all that, if we can skip pre-medication, if we can skip some pain medication, and if we have less sedation, for instance, then we have a stable hemodynamic situation and patients can go home earlier, they can leave recovery room earlier, and this has a positive impact on the personnel in the hospital and also on the flow within the hospital, in fact.
Now I understand. Okay, so Oncomfort is a company based in Belgium, and so you are operating in hospital systems where? In Belgium and also one other country, I remember, right?
Well, we are operating now in Belgium and in France. Obviously, our core business, it's developing new modules, it's developing digital therapeutics, and then we are working with a distributor network. We're a startup company, so starting in Belgium and in France, which is our backyard, and now exploring the world and hoping that the world will pick up the message on digital therapeutics.
I'm very curious from your experience here, and I'd like to know how the health systems here are reacting to bringing in this kind of technology. Are you met with skepticism? Are you met with open arms? How has it been integrating an AR/VR solution into hospitals in both Belgium and France?
Well, the first part is the clinical hypnosis. For non-medical people, this might sound a little bit strange, but for medical people, for doctors, this is like a normal intervention. So that's already the good part. The less good part, obviously, is the digital therapeutics. We are used to molecules, we are used to medical devices, and this is like something in virtual reality, images, sounds, doing something with the patient, and then the proof is in eating the pudding. So if we are doing demos in hospitals, it's really a wow experience. It's a wow experience for the patients, for the doctors, for the nurses, for the caregivers, and this is really how we are selling the product. In fact, it's selling itself.
Are you having any difficulty in terms of of payment for it because of the fact that it is something that is so unique and it's in that realm of digital therapeutics?
Yes, so getting reimbursement nowadays in Europe, it's very difficult.
Okay. Is it changing?
It's not really changing, but what is changing, it's the value-based healthcare. So people think larger and broader than just the intervention. They also think about impact of positive impact of other interventions on the specifically reimbursed intervention. So meaning that if we can help, for instance, a knee replacement to go smoother, to go quicker, to have less complications, then nowadays hospitals tend to understand that the investment is worth more than it's paying off, in fact.
Okay, so I want to ask you then, in your opinion, I'm talking to everyone around the world here about WTF is wrong with the health system that they're operating in. So if you had to say, if there was one thing that's really challenging about having an AR/VR solution that you're trying to implement into the health systems that you're trying to do here in the EU, what would that be?
Well, for us, it's quite simple. We are digital therapeutics. If you look at drugs, it's evidence-based. Everything needs to be evidence-based, which is very difficult. It takes up to 3-4 years to do a study, large studies. We don't don't have that funding. We're a startup company, so market access to hospitals should be easier. I'm not saying that we do not need regulatory, because obviously safety, patient safety, it's extremely important, but it needs to go more quick. Because if we publish a study within 3 years, well, our technology, it doesn't exist anymore, so it's not relevant anymore. So we need to move faster. We need to be working together, I think, with pharmaceutical industry in order to have this regulatory bottleneck solved in a very quick way.
All right, and so what's the future then? If you were going to be very optimistic and say, looking forward, what do you hope will happen to help expedite this?
The future for us, it's actually getting out of the hospital.
Okay.
Because
and where are you going to go?
the patients spend just a little time in the hospital. Most of the time during the therapy, during the route they are walking in their medical journey, they are at home alone or with their family, also experiencing, for instance, anxiety. And our dream is also to get out there with easy access products and solutions together with the physicians in the hospitals, and to be part of this big ecosystem in order to create value-based healthcare, in fact.
Very good to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I'm Jessica DaMassa with WTF Health here at ICEE.health. Thanks so much for watching.